Aw. Thank you, Funny Money 2877. Keep being amazing, friend. Thank you. That's so sweet. Thank you. Thank you for setting the tone. Period. Okay. Speaking of, I'm trying to wait to turn my light on because the sun is currently setting. So I just want to make sure. I only have 2 hours worth of filming. I don't anticipate being more than an hour to um 15, 20 minutes long, max, minimum 45 minutes. So all right, so I'm just gonna get into it because why not? We're on a time crunch, and I have another engagement after this, so I just want to make sure I get this out as much as I can, as detailed as I can. Excuse me. Hey guys. Thank you for the like. I appreciate it. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the love. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. So, welcome back. For those of you who are, I don't know, you could be here for the first time, the second time, the third time, or the fourth time at this point. This is, yeah, I think this is my third time going live stream for my SNT meeting. And I'm happy to have you all here. I'm happy to have your participation. For those of you who have been participating in the chat, in the comment section, thank you so much. Like, you guys have been keeping the momentum going, and I love the interaction. I love the feedback. It has been so helpful for me. Like, it has been extremely helpful to me. In the past week, I was just able to be mindful or reminded of the things that, I already know, the things I already practice. But, hearing the feedback from you guys just kept me cognizant, to just be mindful of those things as a leader. So, hey, Terry, period. Happy Sunday to you too. Thank you guys. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the like. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hey guys. Hi Aaliyah Flores and Saju Thomas said hi. Hi. Um AK Reaper King. That sounds crazy, but what's up? Saju Thomas Y5K says, I don't know, is it tea time? Aaliyah, you said I'm so pretty. Thank you. Thank you guys. I really, really appreciate you guys stopping in, tuning in. I would love your participation. So now that I have your attention, right, I do want some participation because this participation counts as a credit towards your induction. For those of you who are seeking a meeting to count towards your SNT meeting induction step towards your steps, this is that. Okay, whether you are hitting the replay or tuning in live, your participation counts. It's the requirements, so if they have to go back to this live, they check the comments or they check the chat and they see your participation within the chat, you're good. We are going to go over the specific rules a little later, but I just want you guys to be. Oh my gosh, I see that it's somebody's birthday in the chat. Period. Okay. AK Reaper King said it's my birthday today. Period. Happy birthday to you. Yo, happy birthday. Happy. Isn't that the black version? My sister hates that version. But happy birthday to you. I'm so happy for you. I love my April babies. I'm an April baby as well. My birthday was just this past Tuesday. So, period. I'm 38 now. So, happy birthday to you, April baby. You're welcome. Yes. Okay, so the first question I want to ask, and then we're going to get into what my goals were, my SMART goals were last week. Thank you for the other like, period. I'm trying to get the hair together. Don't worry about it. I had it pressed in that mother freaking, what you call it? I think I should just take it from behind my ear, huh? But I had it pressed in the scarf and the bonnet, you know? Thank you. Hey guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we just gotta fix it until we feel like we got it together. I don't feel like I have it together yet. So yeah, but they're all mine, homegrown from the scout. I always say it like that. All right. So, anywho, let's get into the first icebreaker question for the evening. I just want you guys to know in this live tonight, we're still focusing on leaders or leader amongst leaders or leaders amongst leaders, whatever. We're still focused on that. Leaders amongst leaders. Okay. And the reason why I want to focus on that is because I realize being in, several leadership roles throughout my life that there's a lot of times where other leaders are feeling uncomfortable when they're in the same room as other leaders. Like they don't know how to dwell well, they don't know how to take a step back. They don't know how to learn from the next leader. They want to be the loudest one in the room, the biggest one in the room. They want all the attention to themselves. They don't know how to lead with grace. So that is just something that I just picked up on, personally for me, because I am the type that takes a step back, and a lot of times, it was never like reciprocated. And I realized it's because not everybody moves the way you move. Like you may be the person that doesn't have a problem with allowing other people to take the floor, doesn't have a problem with taking instructions, constructive criticism, but there are people that are like, I don't know, they get very defensive. um they're not accountable. So that's the main thing that I want to touch on as leaders for this week, is being accountable. And accountable in a sense of when you make errors. And I feel like it's a good topic that I personally can speak on, because when I started my career journey, I made a lot of errors. Like my job requires like my job is basically like reading math word problems all day and solving it. This is somebody that was like never like really good at math. Like, I did the extra credit that I needed to do to get that B, but offhand, nah. But by the grace of God, He placed me with some amazing people. I mean, people that have like their masters in accounting, people that have multiple certifications, licenses, all throughout tech, all throughout the different fields that I'm intrigued by, that are keeping my attention and teaching me, and then things turn into repetitiveness, So as things gotten repetitive, I've gotten more skillful, So here I am now as a subject matter expert, as a mentor, as a deputy, as a trainer. As a volunteer, as a friend, okay, as a sister, as a mother, okay, and a child or woman of God. So yeah, with that being said, I feel like the focus this week in this week's meeting, I want to focus on being accountable for our errors. I want us to really learn what that feels like and be comfortable accepting, like, hey, I messed up, now what? So personally for me, I learned from my errors. My errors were never anything that like deter me from anything, because I know what I'm capable of. I know what I'm capable of achieving. I know when like things were like idiotic mistakes that I had no business making. Like I'm very accountable for myself, in every move that I make, and I know that when I reap repercussions, I know why I sold. You know what I mean? Okay. Oh well. Hold on. Let me get in the chat. Let me see what y'all talking about. Okay. So Emma Nishlo. I said that wrong. I'm sorry. Michelle Nichols, Columbia Southern University, Bachelor's of Science, NSLS member. You better read them your rights. Okay. This is my first interaction. I am so happy to have you here, Michelle. Thank you so much for joining. You better read them your rights, okay? Thank you. Another NSLS sister, period. I love to see you guys in the chat. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. From Columbia Southern University. Yes. Another Bachelor of Science, period. I'm pursuing my Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with a concentration on project management. So, period, sis. I'm with you, sis. Yes. Okay. All right. Let's get into the first question. All right. The first icebreaker question. Let me, what word? Okay. Question number one. What's one mistake that you've made recently that taught you something valuable? So we're talking about being accountable, right? Like we want to learn to sit in our discomfort of errors and mistakes that we made. So we want to talk about being accountable. So for me, okay, one mistake that I made recently that taught me something valuable. Let me really think about this. Because I have several that I can go in. So like what's the vibe? Because I'm constantly like I'm very self aware, so I'm constantly like evaluating. I'm constantly examining my heart, like my actions, my motives behind things. So something that I feel like something that I feel like that taught me something valuable recently is just to continue to speak up, continue to speak up for myself, continue to advocate for myself, continue to stand on business. You know, when I've done that as a leader, it was never a disservice for me, you know. I feel like as leaders, because we are always like we're eager to step into that role that we didn't sign up for, or that we're not getting paid for, or that we're not even being acknowledged for. And you know, a lot of times if we don't speak up and make those, you know, those accomplishments known, we get swept under the rug. And time and time again, every single time that I fought for what I know, you know, I deserved, it never failed me. It never was a disservice towards me. Um, I just feel like in this day and age, needing to speak up. So last week, I talked about having a very uncomfortable situation that I was experiencing, you know, professionally. And I just really didn't know how to handle it. You know what I mean? Because I felt like I don't know, like sometimes you like, you know, the topic throughout this whole induction process has been, you know, give yourself grace. That's the tips that other leaders that tuned in to these live streams, these S&T meetings that I've had within the last couple of weeks have given me that I was able to take along, you know, because realistically, I am very fair. I am very lenient. I am very patient. Um, you know, but everybody, I'm also one of those that, you know, I am very assertive, you know. So like sometimes I feel like, you know, I'm stuck in a awkward situation where, I have to balance assertion and grace, professionally, respectfully, when you know that you're not being like that level of respect is not being reciprocated. And I feel like as leaders, we just have to find that balance. So, picking up on those traits and giving myself more grace allow me to recognize, like, hey, like, although, I may have reached a little bit of a breaking point where, my frustrations required for me to seek and go in a chain of command. I didn't do anything irresponsible. I did things appropriately, and they had my back. So yeah, that to me matters. It matters where we both can reach a level of common ground because we went the professional route. We kept it professional. We kept it respectful. um I'm very understanding, you know what I mean? Sometimes a little too understanding, sometimes I feel like I wish I wasn't. But that's a little bit of the fruit of the spirit, period, God. You know what I mean? So I feel like, as I continue to grow in general, professionally, spiritually, emotionally, like, it's all connecting in one. I'm defining the leader I want to be just in general, like day in, day out. When I wake up in the mirror, am I proud of what I see? Did I fight hard enough to be where I'm at? Am I where I'm supposed to be right now with the background that I have? If not, what can I do to change that? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, just focusing on the areas that I have struggled with and the areas that I find lack in, focusing on those areas, identifying those areas, like I can really grow from that, you know? So directly, hold on one moment. Let me get back to my space. First of all, I see some things in the chat. Let me get back to that. Terry said, hey, Terry babes. Terry said, hey, Michelle, good for you, period. With the superstar eyes. I love it. Michelle said, I am happy to be here. This is the energy I was hoping for. It's so good. Oh my God. Stop it. Okay. I'm gonna calm down. Like that just made my heart jump. You single as a mother effers. I am single. A little bit more. I'm finishing. What are you talking about? All right. So Michelle said, "Week when I was so sure I was right about a safety standard. I begrudgingly had to apologize to my coworker and admit I was wrong. And just because I don't feel we are responsible for certain duties, we are. Yes, 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 yes. I love that level of accountability and that level of um just recognizing, like, this is what I call like operational risk. You know what I mean? How fruitful are you to a department, to a team, because you don't necessarily that's not necessarily your duties, your responsibilities, like when I get new hires, which I work very closely with, and I'm very much so responsible for, I try to encourage them to just do everything. I know that you feel like, oh, it's not fair because I'm temp, I'm contract, like this. I'm like, yo, I've been there. We all had to, crawl before we walk. Some people just understand that. Like, sometimes you just have to crawl. Sometimes it takes a level of discipline, a level of commitment, and a level of accountability to accept where, your flaws were so you can get to where you need to be. You know what I mean? So I respect that wholeheartedly. Um, Terry said, a mistake I have made that has taught me a valuable lesson is I need to slow down and take things step by step. Okay? If I don't, I miss something. Okay. Yeah. and I can unintentionally disappoint somebody. Girl, why that hit here? Why that hit here? I felt that. I resonate with that. I don't want to get too personal with that. But I felt that, and I love that that's something that you see in yourself. Like, I feel like that's a very strong recognition. That's a that's a mistake that, if not corrected, it can cause more harm than good. I recognize that within myself. You know what I mean? And if I'm not constantly, at least bare minimum, trying to correct that in one form of another, within my life, then what am I doing? I'm failing myself. I'm failing my children. I'm failing the people that root for me, that clap for me. You know what I'm saying? The people that actually love and support me. I'm feeling my legacy, my lineage, my heritage. You know what I'm saying? Um, so hard to balance sometimes, Michelle. I get it, man. I'm telling you, I get it. Like, it it's like the topic of the hour with me. Balance, 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 balance every single day, because I feel like I have a very fulfilling life. I feel so blessed to have the life, the responsibilities, the level of love and care and intention and attention that I have, the responsibility that I have. I feel very fortunate to have that level of responsibility. But at the same time, I feel like I still need to focus and work on and correct balance, because the number one thing that I feel like that I struggle with, which I've been talking about since I've been going live here in these SNT meetings, and if you watch other lives earlier, sidebars, I've always talked about, like, me just punctuality, especially since the pandemic. Like, I got very comfortable, and it turned out to be a little too comfortable, you know? So I get it, it's just all about balance, you know what I mean? And I feel like certain areas in life has to be addressed in order to work towards that balance. So that's where I'm at. Like, I identify like what those areas are where I struggle with, and what I need to do to get from point A to point B. Before, I couldn't see that middle path of, like, how do you get from here to there? Like, I see the success, I see the outcome of my success, but I did not see the path. You know what I'm saying? And as of last year, God revealed that path to me, and here we are. The path has been fruitful. Praise God. I love it. I love that for me. I love that for my children, my generations to come. Like, I love that for us. Um, yeah, like, I'm just gonna get rid of you, you pervert. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean. I did mean it. Actually, like, this person is disgusting. Um. All right. So Michelle said to Terry, "Good to have the self awareness to see that." Amen. Exactly. That was very beautiful, Terry. Seriously. Terry said the fast pace of life can have going in circles. Okay. I have to force myself to move, slow down, and breathe. That's why I take days off. That's why I buy extra time off, because I know I'm going to need it. So I find a lot of balance. Like, I'm a hard worker. I don't mind being a hard worker. I don't mind that at all. I love it. I feel very powerful being the type of worker that I am, and being recognized, whether it's in school or at work, or as a mother, as a friend, as a daughter, as a sister, like, whatever it is. I rock that ish. It's nothing but God. You know what I mean? So I feel like I personally have a responsibility of just holding true to, the things that I hold myself accountable for. I have to take myself from here to there. And I know that I have to put the work in. When I work next to the people that I work next to on a daily basis, I see what they put in. I can tell what they commit to it. And I feel like what I'm doing right now doesn't hold a candle to what they put in. So this is nothing, because if God was able to qualify me to be on the same level, as certain people without having, all of those accolades. God qualification is different. If God was able to do that, then I have to work hard. I have to fight hard. I don't mind be a hard worker, to put the footwork in to show God, like, hey, these are my goals. This is what I'm applying myself to. And I'm not even meeting God halfway. I'm just gonna meet him a third of a way and he does the rest. You know what I mean? So I just put in what I can put in, and I love that, what I felt like I had desired in my heart aligned with what God paved for me. It wasn't marriage, it wasn't a husband, it wasn't being in love, it was, chasing after things that were going to benefit me and my children, my family. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I feel a little different there, but I know one thing for sure. It started with accountability. It started with me having to identify the flaws. I came a long way. If you go back on this YouTube channel, it dates back to like what, 2018. You can see the growth. You can see where I started and where I'm at now. You know what I'm saying? And what I can say is, like, when it comes to success, when it comes to, it's like some people have things handed to them. I'm just not one of those people that just believe that, because I never experienced that. But I'm definitely one of those people that believe if you work hard, you can get it. You know what I'm saying? I have to represent for my children. I can't just tell them to, go for education, pursue education, and take education seriously, and I didn't. You know what I mean? Like, I have to set the example for them. Like, right now, I'm at a 3.56. My son is currently in school. He's at a 3.7. Okay, son, I feel you on that. You know what I'm saying? That be better than me. That's all I want. You know what I'm saying? I told him, you go to school, I'm going to school. We're gonna do this together. That's what we doing. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be the example, that the leader that you want to be, but you have to also be able to be accountable. You have to also be able to see what you did wrong. I was a young mother. Okay. Like, I seen what I did wrong. I teach my kids accordingly to my mistakes, that I'm still continuing to learn, to grow from. You know what I mean? And that's just every day as a mother. All right. Let me go back. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So Michelle says she was going to say how inappropriate he was being. Right? Like, dude, stop it. I'm live. Like, no decorum. Like, they're just so weird. Those are the type of people that you gotta look out for. Those are weirdos, okay? Yes. Terry said children are our best motivators. Yes, honey. Yes. And thank you for the likes. I'm at 7 likes right now. I appreciate you because thank you. I appreciate you. I hope I don't get sensitive, okay? Okay, and Michelle said, me either. I have worked my butt off the last 20 years. Dang, girl, talk about it. 20 years ago, I was sitting in prison. Wow, unsure of how to be a functioning member of society. Wow. So you mean to tell me, Michelle, that 20 years ago, you were sitting in prison, today you're on your path for NSLS induction? You're an inducted member. No, you're an inducted member. Let me go back to that comment, because I know you're an NSLS member. So you mean to tell me from 20 years ago today, you were sitting in prison, and today you're an NSLS Honor Society member. Look at God. I can do all things. Yo, that is so beautiful. Oh my God. Like, I would love to hear more about your story. By the way, that being said, I do plan on doing a testing video, maybe even after this, something real quick. I know I don't have my nails done still. I do my own nails. I got all the things to do my nails. I just don't have the time to do my nails. And the reason why I do my own nails is because they don't satisfy me around here at all. And if you want something done correctly, you have to do it yourself. So that's why I do my own nails. But I haven't had the time, because your girl is doing a lot between work, motherhood, and school. So I love spending time, doing my nails. I love getting my nails done. It's my hair that I hate getting done. That's why that is just never done. All right, but anywho, oh, Terry said, "What, Michelle?" You are amazing. Okay. You are a testimony. Wow. Oh my God. Congratulations. Period. Yes. That's what I'm just like, hold on. Sis said she was an NSLS member, okay? And 20 years ago she was sitting in prison. That sounds like a testimony. It sounds like a testimony to me. Praise God. Beautiful. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for the support, the participation. Okay. Let's get to our next question. So I'm gonna get to the next question. I'm gonna touch on how I did with last week's SMART goal. Is it time to put this on? I feel like no, no, not yet. Okay. We'll wait. Alrighty. Second icebreaker. Who is a leader you admire because they own their mistakes? Who? All right. So for me, the first person that I can immediately think of offhand is my work bestie, Vanita. I love her so much. I love Vanita. She's amazing. Um, she's very accountable, and so am I. And a couple of weeks ago, was on the phone, I listened to her handle, a matter. She's very pleasant, very respectful, but she had got something incorrect. And even though it wasn't technically her fault, she still like gave like a little feedback that wasn't up to par, but it was just based on the information that she received. And what I loved about it before, we realized that it was based on the information, I loved how instantly she was accountable. You know, she took ownership. She said, yes, like I did that wrong, and I'm the same way. Like, especially when it comes to work, I don't have time to, you know, bask in the fact that I messed up. Like, we got things to do, we got work to handle. When I realize if I fail something in QC, because I'm not gonna sit here and act like I don't get any fails my daggone self. As far as I'm concerned, we all get fails. All of us, everybody. We're not AI, and even AI gets fails. Okay, period. Okay, so yeah. And I'm not saying I get a lot. I don't get a lot. Neither does Benita. It's very rare and few. But if and when we do, you know, I don't have time to be upset at the person for failing me. I don't have time to, make excuses of as to why I got the fail. Like, the only thing I have time to do is correct it in 2.5 seconds. Done. Like, period. Thank you for letting me know. Let me move on to the next. I ain't got time to be going back and forth with anyone about why I messed up. Now I can be accountable and say, like, dang, I didn't see that there. Because that be happening, Your girl needs bifocals. So, that be happening. So yeah, that may be a thing, but it's not gonna be it's because I gotta be accountable for my own self. You know what I mean? That's what I teach my children to. Like, if you're not accountable, then you're a liar. You're not responsible, and you're untrustworthy. You know what I mean? Somebody that is accountable is trustworthy. Like, I remember I had incorrectly failed someone who typically get fails, but this one was an oversight. I was having difficulty with my eyes, like they're my excuse. But no, it was an oversight, and I'm accountable for that. Like it's something I overlooked. You know what I mean? And when she provided her feedback, and I seen that, I was like, okay. And I loved the way that she provided her feedback. I love the way that it was presented. She presented in a way that I would have presented it to her, which told me that she's learning from me. You know what I'm saying? So what I was supposed to be mad about? That she checked me because I was wrong? No, I was actually proud. That's you tapping into your analytical skills. You know what I mean? Obviously, that was an off day for me, but it was a on day for her, and that's the type of analyst that I'm focused on building. You know what I mean? How cool is it to say like I failed the failure? You know what I mean? Like that was a thing. You know what I mean? So I feel like, being accountable is just, taking ownership. And when I responded the way I did, she was just like, she was like, thank you, like, thank you. Like, she was just very grateful for the way that I responded, long story short. And I told her, like, of course, like, as a leader, we have to be accountable. Like, I have to show her, as a leader, what being accountable for my errors look like. You know what I'm saying? That was my way of showing it and teaching that to her. Like, immediately assume responsibility. She laid it out properly. I acknowledged her. I gave her her praises because it was very well deserved. You know what I mean? And here we are. So Michelle said, my first safety director, the first person to see past my past and give me a chance. She taught me to accept defeat with grace. She allowed open conversations when her team didn't agree. That is what a true leader is. If you ever had someone in a leadership role, a manager, an executive, a director, whoever, take a chance on you, say I. I had a few of them actually, but the first one that did changed my life. So I understand exactly what you're saying, Michelle, and how much of an impact that leader had for you because it shaped you to be who you are today, to not be afraid to get what you deserve. Terry said, a leader I admired because they own their mistakes. I admire my father. He had a very short and tumultuous life. However, as young as I was, he always talked to me. That is so special. Oh, R.I.P. Daddy's little girl. That touched me too. I resonate with that too. That's beautiful. Um, Thinking about my dad. My father admitted his life mistakes to me and didn't want me to make the same mistakes. Thank you, Dad. Period, Terry. Okay. Period. That's so beautiful. Period. Michelle said that's a good dad. Oh yeah, that's a good loving dad. Yes, that's a very loving dad. Difference between a boss and a leader. Period. Oh, that just touched me because it just made me think of my dad. Like RP dad. My dad was the same way. My father. Yeah. But that's so special. Shout outs to you. Shout outs to you and your dad. That's so beautiful. I love those type of connections. Always forever daddy's little girl. Period. Okay, so okay. I want to get into last week's SMART goal. And we have a little less than 20 minutes, 19 minutes now. So I'm going to get into last week's SMART goal. In last week's SMART goal, my goal was to research at least 10 scholarships. I wanted to utilize the benefits that we have since being inducted members. I wanted to see about the scholarship programs and work on, just getting about 10 scholarship programs together. The ultimate goal is to apply for scholarships to receive up to $5,000 worth of scholarship money, okay, or funding towards my tuition or whatever. And I did successfully do that, in which I did create the scholarship tracker that I said I was going to do. So in this tracker, I am able to track the duration, of the time that I have, red flag, when the due date is approaching, the due date, the time that I started. It's a lot of little intricate things, a lot of detailed things that I put in there. But overall, I had the scholarship name, the link, the requirements and the details, all of that listed so that I can track as I go. I wanted to select the first school that, I wanted to apply for in this week 2 since, starting this new goal. And I did select that, and I'm going to share it with you guys a little bit, not too much, not too much. So, one of the things I wanted to point out is the NSLS, based on my research, has 2 times a year where you can go and apply for scholarships that is funded through NSLS. And that is during the fall and during the spring. So, right before I'm wording that wrong. So right after I became an inducted NSLS member, probably about a week like a week before the deadline to submit, to the different scholarships that they have for this spring session, um, I was inducted. And I just felt like, no, I'm in school. That's just too much right now. It was around the time when I was just in the beginning of classes, still trying to, learn my new way with my new professors. Like, too much. It's okay to say no. It's okay to know what's too much on your plate. That's what a real leader does. Okay. So, yeah, that was just a no for me. So I was just like, okay, I'll be able to apply for the fall. But still in all, I also mentioned in my previous S&T meeting live stream that if need be, I would outsource, So I did. I outsourced and I found a multitude of very qualifiable scholarship programs that will offer funding based on, needs catered to me. So I had, searched for single mothers, my age bracket, my ethnicity, like I was being very detailed what I went to school for, my concentration, like, you know, even down to me being a mother freaking YouTuber and content creator. Like, I just wanted it to be as tailored as possible. If there are any funding scholarship programs that I could possibly qualify for. So once I was able to get that, I was able to get, to select what I wanted to choose between. And one of the first options I had, the amount ranges from $1,000 up to $16,000. So the eligibility is for women who are the primary financial support for their families. No age limit. T. Okay. So the submission requirements are online applications, 2 references, which is a great thing that I am a professional because I got nothing but references. Very, very suitable people. Okay. Personal statement. I guess that would be like, just why should they pick you? Okay. And I can talk all day. Okay. And I also, one of the main things that I stated in last week live is that I wanted to make sure that I knew what each scholarship program form of payment were. So this one, the payout is directly to you. Part of that is because in the next upcoming week, which is my week 2 goals, I plan to open up a 529 account. Excuse me, I think I did that right into the mic. My bad. My plan is to open up a 529 account, so that when I do get these scholarships and that are paid directly to me, they can be deposited directly into the 529 account. With the 529 account, I have children. I have a son currently, an older son who's currently in school, and a daughter who will be in school, going to college soon. So, and 2 younger ones, like I said in the last live. So I really just want to make sure that, I can probably use this to transfer or whatever. However, it'll be suitable. So let me drop this in the 529 account. It's a good investment, put it like that. And the reason why a scholarship like this fits me is because it's one of the strongest scholarships that is for single mothers nationwide. And um, one another thing that you want to look for when you are seeking, scholarship funding is, chapters or areas that are, in your same town, county. That was another focus that I had to tailor my research on, just to make sure that, it's something that I could actually qualify for. Because there's so many scholarships out there, so you don't want to miss it. And there are also so many scholarships that, you don't necessarily qualify for. So you want to make sure that the scholarship programs and applications that you plan to submit are ones that you qualify for. So yeah, there you go. All right, so next icebreaker question. Um, when you mess up, right? What's your go-to accountability move? So for me at work, when I mess up, I immediately assume responsibility. I immediately say, "Oh, that was my fault." And my go-to move is to make sure that I praise and acknowledge them for doing a great job with that work. The work that I failed them on and got it wrong on, that was my bad. I made sure to give them their accolades for getting that correct. Period. What am I supposed to dwell in my error? No. I have to be a leader and I have to own it. Like, that's my bad. And I am very proud that you got me wrong. That's what I like to see. Okay. So yeah, that's me. So once again, the question is, when you mess up, what's your go-to accountability move? For me, my go-to accountability move is assume responsibility immediately and give praises because they are due. Period. Um, yeah. All right. Another thing that I wanted to do as far as my actionable goal and my SMART goal last week was to apply for my first scholarship program. That wasn't the case. I did not do that. I'm going to make that a goal for this week. The reason why I didn't do it last week is because I had to change things around. And like I said in the last live last week, like, it's okay. Like, if things need to be changed around, if goals need to be shifted, revised, whatever the situation may be because of whatever, it's okay to do that. I don't want people to feel like they have to. You set your own goals, and if at any time you need to adjust and readjust and change those goals, that's for you to do. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I feel like there's not ever a time that I want to be stressed out for doing the things that I love to do. If I'm stressed out doing the things that I love to do, I'm not going to enjoy it and I'm not going to be good at it. So that's the last thing that I want to do, is be stressed for doing what I love to do. That's ridiculous. You said, okay, I did it. I apologize. How can I correct this and make it better? Forgive me. Period. Assume responsibility. It's my fault. I got it wrong. Now let me acknowledge you, because not only did you get it right, but you were able to present that to me. Did a good job. It's okay. I'm not gonna sweat it. It's okay. Now you teaching me to be more on point. Now we're learning from each other. You know why? Because we have to be leaders that are accountable, and we have to be leaders to be a leader amongst leaders. You can't be a leader amongst leaders if you can't learn how to be corrected. Construction. Okay. That was Terry. And Michelle said, when I messed up, I want to admit right when I am aware. I apologize and thank the person. Period. I like that thank the person addition. Let's like, because that's important too. Like, not only did we get it wrong, but we also want to like thank you for catching that. Thank you for seeing that. I appreciate stuff like that. I don't be minding that. Like, correct me, shut me up. Seriously, like what? All right, and this is our last and final icebreaker as we are coming close to an end. What's one area your life what's one area in your life where you want to be more accountable this month, as in the month of April, as us April babies? I've talked about this week after week after week. The one area I need to be accountable starting this month, I'm working on it, is tardiness, punctuality, showing up on time, being late. I need to get all that. I feel like baby steps, because it takes a lot, but I'm working on it. Last week I was rushing to the live, like I was panting out of breath, like I wasn't showing up prepared and statured. And this time I made sure that I prepped earlier. I made sure that I had my setup correctly. I made sure that my sound was in tune. I even had my iPad, which I want to bring up for those of you who tuned into last week live. My iPad was right here. It was right. If you watch that live, I kept asking, like, is that my iPad? Is that my, like, I could not see. I could not see. That mother effing was right here the whole time. Like, all right. So yeah, they told me that I need bifocals. And I'm just like, I can't do the bifocals. So then they told me, like, okay, well, you got to do like two different pair of eyeglasses, like one for reading and one from being nearsighted. And I'm like, I can't do that either. I like, what? I can't even keep up with the glasses that I have. The one pair. Then they said, like, you can get the bifocals, like a 2-in-1 thing, but you're not going to be able to see from your peripheral. I need my peripheral. I can't even see straight. Like, I need as much vision as I need. So if I'm not going to have medication on the side, not only that, that's not going to make sense to me. So then my sister, my very wise sister, suggested, why don't you get eye surgery? And I was just like, LASIK, laser eye surgery. And I was like, yeah, because I would actually qualify for it. I'm pretty sure like my insurance covered for it. I don't know if that's a thing, but if it was a thing, I'm sure I qualify for it. Like I've been wearing constructive lenses since I was like freaking 12. I qualify. Okay, the eyesight is not sighting. It's causing, like I said, oversights. We're just gonna say oversights. Like, that was there. No, I done checked this like multiple. Yeah, no, we gotta construct these lenses. Okay, so yeah, there's that. You said I have had 46 year eyes. My Wait, why 46? She said, Terry said, I had 46 eyes my whole life. Girl, why can't I relate? But nah, okay, so you got some things out there. Because I said I don't want no Coke bottle. Y'all not finna do me like that. Y'all not finna go there with me, okay? I don't want no Coke bottles. Um, Michelle said this month is my health. Period. I'm closing in on 50. Wow. The great golden age, period. And I want to take control and get back and get my health on track. I love it. I feel like this is the golden age. What better age to get back on track? You know, we fall down, but we get up. It's okay. I do it myself. I'm always back and forth, you know, trying to maintain my health, fitness, and everything, trying to be cognizant. But I still feel like 50 is very, very young. So, you know, shout outs to you because you're in a position in life where you can say, hey, I want to take it more seriously instead of being forced to take it more seriously, you know, especially, you know, at your age. That's beautiful. You know what I mean? Terry said, this month in April, the one area I want to be more accountable in is my walking routine. I was going to ask you about that. Yes. Is that simple and serious? So, how did you do within this last week, Terry, with your walking? Did you take an extra mile? Like, what happened? How did that go? And no more oops. You know what I'm talking about. Because I am curious, how was your accountability partner? Did she show up for you this week? What's up? Because next week I'm gonna come with some tips, okay, if need be. Yes, but you know, shout outs to you guys for tuning in and participating and giving such amazing feedback. Like, oh my gosh, every single week, you guys make this not just popping and happening for me, but everybody else who come across these lives. Like, you don't understand how much your feedback means to me and others seeing this. You know what I'm saying? I literally take these tips, I take your suggestions, I take your input, your feedback along with me into my professional environment, like super corporate day, period. Because I come in here baby. Okay, not for real. But I take what I get out of these sessions into my real life. And it has been so fruitful for me. So I love it. You know, this is already a benefit of NSLS. Why stop here? Let's keep going together because somebody like me is definitely a gold digger. Goal digger. Okay. Um, but we are going to wrap this up. I'm going to leave a few minutes. If you guys have anything, that's the one thing I wanted to do this week. You guys drop a question into the chat that you want to ask for, those coming after this to answer. Drop one question. I'm going to answer myself. One question in the chat. I'm going to read it out loud. And as a requirement to get credit for this live, they have to answer your question. So leave a leadership question, anything that you feel like would be something stimulating for the mind that will have us thinking to answer the question. I'll give you guys 1 minute because it's about to be 7 o'clock. Yes, same time next week, Michelle. I just wanted to be consistent, same time next week. Absolutely. I'm gonna give you guys a minute. Leave one question for us to answer, us viewers, us onlookers to receive credit for this SNT meeting. Best wishes to you, Michelle. Yes, that was Terry, y'all. Thanks, T. Yes. Let me tell y'all what I'm about to get while we wait, just in case. Because if not, I'll just end it with a question. I'm about to get some pig feet, some Haitian food, pig feet. How y'all feel about that? How y'all feel about pig feet? I feel like they should be. How y'all feel about Piggy? All right, Michelle said, what advice would you give a new member for advancing in a leadership mid mindset or mindset? Okay, all right. What advice would you give a new member for advancing in a leadership mindset? All right, let me think about that. I don't know. I feel like my advice will always be geared towards like things that involves asserting yourself, you know, advocating for yourself, speaking up for yourself. I feel like for me, that's like a very important mindset to have because a real leader is heard. You know what I'm saying? One way or another. I was laughing today at my sister because like when I'm on Facebook, like it sounds like to me the way I like express myself, it sounds like I'm yelling. It sounds like I'm like boo boo, and it should be cracking me up. And I'm just like, I'm so not like that, but it's like the passion behind it, and it can easily get misread. And I'm like, I know a lot of them just think that. I just be going off, and it is not like that. But I just like to, I'm very passionate, and therefore it requires for me to be assertive. It requires for me to stand on business. It requires for me to stand my ground as a leader. I feel like respect is very important as a leader. And if you don't assert yourself as a leader, you are not going to be solid. You're not going to stand your ground. You're not going to be somebody that can offer anything to anybody, because if you fall for something, you fall for everything. You know what I mean? So for me, it's just important to have the mindset that, you're always going to be expressive. You have to also understand that, everything doesn't require a response. You have to know when to respond and how to respond. And sometimes those situations come with some woosah and some prayers. You know what I'm saying? But being somebody that can assert yourself respectfully and professionally and maintain that level of decorum that is required, professionally, I feel like can go a long way, because you will be respected by it. I'd rather be respected than rejected. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather be respected. Um, Terry said, what can you do at home to make yourself a better leader? It starts at home. Amen. Yes. And from one mother to another, okay, I feel like for me, leadership for me starts with me being a mother. That's the first leadership role I've ever done. I was a senior class president. But yeah, but honestly, when I was senior class president, I was pregnant with my first child. You know what I mean? So I can say my first experience being a leader, is as a mother. You know what I mean? And it was at home where I had to learn different functionalities of leadership that wasn't necessarily handed to me, that wasn't necessarily taught. It was something that had to be developed over time. You know what I'm saying? And now, being a mother of four kids later, I can say that I have a much better grip and master on motherhood than I did coming into the game. So for me, what I can do to be a better leader at home is to be consistent in motherhood, continue to show up and continue to be accountable as a mother at home. Sometimes I'm not always right. My kids be checking me, y'all. Um, and what you supposed to do? You're supposed to acknowledge it just like you would with anybody else. So that starts at home, being accountable, saying, I'm sorry, mommy got it wrong. I apologize. That's my bad. And also, another thing with me being a mother when it comes to my kids is thoroughly explaining, being as detailed as I can, give explain why. It's not just you're going on timeout. Let me see if you understand why you're going on the timeout. You know what I'm saying? Leadership for me starts at home with my children, being a mother. Michelle said, at home, I try to continue to be accountable to daily routines. I love that. I want to show up for my wife, the same as I do outside the home. Okay, so you have to show up for your wife inside the home the same way you do outside the home. I love that. Terry said, I make sure I get up early and get my son. No, I get up before him. I make sure, hold on, I make him breakfast. Yes, I check out his disposition and say, leave him with kind words and sometimes reminders. Yes, yes, that's simple. Yes, one thing for me, I pray every single day with my children. Every morning on as they go into school, I cover them. That's so important because I not only that, but I'm teaching them how to pray. I'm teaching them how to repent. I'm teaching them how to ask God for covering and protection over their lives. You know, like I'm teaching them grace. I'm teaching them how to pray over other people that's outside of them. You know, so those rides every morning. You know what I mean? Super, super affirmational, pouring into them positivity. Terry said, boom, motherhood did it for me. Who knew? And right, girl. Let me tell you something. I was just one of those people that did not want children. I ended up at one point, I ended up with 4. She said, Terry said, yep, they will check you quick. ASAP, especially because they're like Gen Zs. I can't stand the Gen Zs. Like, y'all always trying to check something. Always clock some tea. Always trying to clock some tea. And then they do it so nonchalantly. Like, I'm gonna need you to have more emotion. I'm too passionate for that. All right. Terry said, that's very important, Michelle. Yes. Michelle said, thank you for having this chat. This was just what I needed. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that you guys came. I'm so grateful for you guys' participation and interactions. Super shout outs to you guys. Michelle and Terry again for showing up. She was here last week. I remember. We see each other, okay? And I think now it's getting dark. Say. Always in your corner, Michelle. Oh, that's so sweet. Prayer is important. Amen. Absolutely. I look forward to next week. I look forward to next week too. I can't wait to see you guys there. And I'm going to make sure there's one thing that I've been wanting to touch on. So I'm just going to give you guys a heads up so you can hold me accountable for next week. Something that I want to include into my next live is the SWOT analysis. I want to get a little bit more technical and leave you guys with something more fruitful because after next week, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a break. So I want to make sure I leave something very fruitful and technical with you guys that, you know, you can very much so benefit from into your own work environments, your own schooling, your professional or academic career, or into your own lives. So we are going to work on SWOT analysis. So in case you don't know, you can do your research and come back with your own SWOT analysis, but that's what we're going to be doing next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace and love. Love and harmony. And be blessed. Yes.